in, but always good at this. Just as we start, it'd just be really good just to make sure that the chat is working. If you could just put your name and where you've come from, say what organisation you are here from, that'd be really useful. Just helps us to know that the chat function is working. So that would be amazing if you could do that. Also, happy International PMO Day to everyone that's working in a PMO today. I didn't know it was International PMO Day, but I found it yesterday, and yeah, it feels like this feels like the perfect day for us to be having this webinar where we're going to be discussing PPM systems.
Just don't tell them what the other international day is, Sam, that we also find out. We'll let other people find their own way to that day.
Absolutely. But yesterday was actually National Eat What You Want Day. So again, if anyone is feeling courageous in the chat, if you could eat anything for the rest of your life, just one thing for the rest of your life, what would you eat? Mine would probably be spaghetti bolognese. Joel, what would yours be if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life? What would it be?
Surprise you in the chat. It's a hard question, though, Sam. That's a hard question.
It's a hard question. Lobster, Joe. That's someone's got expensive tastes. And Joel, pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Garlic prawns.
Prawns. Fresh baguette. The fresh baguette is the bit there that's winning me over. Oh, absolutely! Roast beef with all the trimmings. Absolutely, nice bit of Yorkshire pudding in there. Nice crispy roast potatoes.
It was sad though. I was thinking to myself, I was really disappointed in what I would miss. You know what I mean? If that was reality, where the only thing I could eat was pizza for the rest of my life, I was actually sitting there thinking, but it'd be really hard to miss. Really sad to miss those other things.
At least with pizza, you could have lots of different toppings. I guess I'd probably be bored of spaghetti bolognese after about day 3 or 4. We've still got people joining. So yeah, if anyone wants to, introduce themselves in the chat, that'd be great. Put what you would eat if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life. What would it be in the chat? It's just a bit of fun. Well, I hope it's a bit of fun.
Some people are joining. Some people are joining the meeting thinking, "I would eat pizza for what? What are they talking? What have I joined here?"
But yeah, just taking a few minutes just while we wait for everyone to join. People are back to back and stuff with meetings, so just giving it a minute or two, and then we'll get started. But yes, there's some good things in there. I would definitely miss roast beef. I couldn't ever have roast beef again.
Fish and
Ian
chips.
Knowles, fish and chips. Good choice. The fish and chip shop in the very little village that I live in South Wales shut down last week because the owner's retired, and there is outrage across the community Facebook group, which more outrage about the fish and chip shop closing down than when the church shut down at Christmas. So that says a lot about this village, maybe. And yes, echoing Stacey's words, happy International PMO Day, one and all. I'm sure that everyone has sent cards and presents. I'm looking forward to getting my one from Joel tomorrow when I'm in the office. Rice, stew and plantain. I love a bit of plantain.
Yeah, it's got to be
done. A bit of plantain. Very, very good choice. I think we are probably good now to get going. We might have a few more people to join, but let's get going. Thank you very much, everyone that is here. Thank you for joining this morning's webinar. Thank you for taking that time out of your diary. We've got a really exciting webinar to go through today. We're talking about PPM systems and how to deliver one that is going to deliver results, and we are focusing today on the public sector. Next slide, please, Joel. We've got a packed agenda. Don't worry, we are going to get this all into the 55 minutes that we have got left. We'll do some welcomes and introductions now, but I'm going to hand over to Joel, who will be dealing with most of the webinar today, looking at some of those challenges which you're facing in the public sector, some of those pitfalls there are within PPM systems and why PPM systems fail. But then starting to look a bit more positive. What does good look like? What are those key factors that need to be taken into account when selecting a PPM system? And then we'll also be looking at some of the work that has been done by Neathport Talbot Council, again, down on the south coast of Wales, looking at some of the work they've done, which is some really excellent work. Happens to be with us. We're using the iCoPlan solution. And so then we'll take a quick look at what iCoPlan is. There is time for a Q&A at the end. So if you've got any questions as we go through, please do drop them in the chat. I will be there answering any questions that I can in the chat. Joel will go over to it. We've got some of our colleagues here as well that will be answering questions in the chat as well. So feel free to go through to that. Next slide, please, Joel. Yes, cool. So yeah, my name is Sam Fars. I am the partner manager here at iCoTech Services, and have got about 15 years experience working both inside and outside the public sector, working with organisations just like yours, and helping them to improve, often from a sort of a data-led approach. So really from that sort of consultant-driven, what is it that you need within your organisation, as we know no two organisations are exactly the same. I'm really happy to be working here alongside Joel at iCoTech. And Joel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Sam. Yes, my name's Joel Markham. I'm the CEO and founder of iCoTech Services. My background is in project portfolio management through and through, and then obviously working with customers across iCoTech's portfolio, predominantly in the public sector over the last 7 years now, delivering project risk and strategic planning solutions. So yeah, very nice to meet you all today. Thank you for your time. I hope you find the content useful, and we're going to share some stories of how to deliver PPM solutions and systems into your organization. Looking forward to it. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Back over to you,
Thank
Sam.
you, Joel. Yeah, thanks very much. Next slide, please. I think I'm now going to be taking you through just a quick bit about who iCoTech are. So yeah, next slide again, please, Joel. So iCoTech Solutions, iCoTech Services. We are a UK base. We are based down in Cardiff in Wales, and we specialise in building solutions in the Microsoft Power Platform to enable a better delivery within organisations, but especially now focusing on the public sector. So we build everything we do is built within the Power Platform. So that is utilising the Microsoft licenses, the Microsoft services that you already have, and just making them even better. So everything we deliver is within systems that you already have and you already pay for. We build, we maintain, and we enhance really complex business applications. And one of the things that is quite unique about us is that we have an optimization service. So we build what you need right now, and then we continue to work with you over time into the future to iterate that product and to make it better and better and better. And as your organization changes, and we've seen some massive change in local government just in the last few days, but as those changes happen and new things come in, there's new reports that need to be done, new ways of working, we can iterate our product, we can change it so as that it matches what you need right now. And even changing it so as it can work in different areas of your organization. Everything we do around that is totally consultative. So we have got some absolute experts in their field who work for us, some of the best people in the industry, and we get to learn what you need, what you want, and then we make it possible. We change our service, we change our solution to match what you need, and that all comes from a digital perspective. And that is mainly within our three main accelerators, our different solutions, which are around project portfolio management. That is iCoPlan. We'll be talking about that today. We have enterprise risk management, which is iCoRisk, and we're talking about that on a webinar in 2 weeks' time. And we'll give you some more details on that later on. And also strategic planning solutions, so getting that overall visibility of what's going on within your organisation. That is called iCoView, and we'll have some more information on that later on as well. Next slide, please, Joel. And here they are. Here are our three accelerators. So most of what we'll be talking about today is iCoPlan. It's there in the middle. Project portfolio management solution, and it really does help organisations. As I say, we'll be hearing about what's happened at Neath Port Talbot to manage those projects, better manage their resources, their timelines, etc. With iCoRisk, which works in the risk space, identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks, and again being used by lots of local authorities, taking you away from something that is very static like Excel in something that is live, and it's changing what's going on with your risks as those risks change, as you take mitigating actions as well. And we're seeing some great success with that where it's been rolled out. And iCoView, our business planning solution, giving execs, giving your leaders that view of everything that's going on within the organisation, but also meaning that the actions that happen at every single different level in that organisation all feed back in to that overall strategic plan, and that can be seen throughout the organisation. Next slide, Joel. Yeah, and this gives you an idea of some of the organisations that we're working with. So we work across central government, NHS, local government. We've got a few private sector clients that we still work with as well. Truly global as well. We are working with St John's Ambulance as far away as Australia. And they are meetings that I never look forward to because they are very early in the morning, but also much closer to home. Neathport Talbot Council that we're going to be talking about today, Blaenau Gwent, Oxfordshire Council. We're currently working with Staffordshire and Stoke Council up in the north, Southampton down on the south coast. We really have got a full coverage of the UK in terms of some of those organisations that we're working with. And I think, Joel, I'm now handing over to you.
You are indeed. Thank you very much, Sam. Good afternoon, everybody. So one thing we haven't done in a while is a poll, but we'd like to get a bit of engagement from you and ask you a few questions if we can. So in the chat now, we would have put a poll that asks you a set of questions just to allow to build a picture for me as to what the audience, what you guys are doing now in terms of your systems, your challenges, and maybe a couple of questions around the kind of reason you might not have implemented a PPM solution so far. Yes, if you wouldn't mind just completing that poll for me, that'd be much appreciated. Let's have a go at it. And I think it's in the chat itself, so you can effectively go into the meeting chat and you'll be able to see that in there. And I think we can go through that process. If you wouldn't mind having a go at that, it'd be much appreciated, and hopefully we'll get some responses very shortly. Put a message if it's not working for you in the chat, but it looks like it's there coming up. So whilst that's coming through, so the challenges are facing the public sector. Let's dive into that and just work and just kind of talk to some of the challenges that our customers are facing at the moment in the industry and some of the problems that they're facing. All right, so we're going to go in here. So increased pressure is one of the first things that it comes to mind when I was kind of thinking about this. All of our customers are seeing increased pressure on budgets, on challenges that are going on across the community, and real challenges to go and deliver effectively projects, portfolios, and programs of change in a complex environment that they're working in. One lady in a council last week literally said that there's more change to deliver than ever before. LGR's coming, impacting a lot of our customers, and a number of other kind of political landscape changes that are going on in the UK and across the globe are making our public services be stretched more than ever before. And that just means there's more change to manage, more complex activities to be taken through a process, and some great kind of I guess overview, great challenges that are coming through at the moment as well to be dealt with, really. All right. The limited resources, so budgets are a key problem and a key priority for many of our customers in the public sector at the moment. That whole cliche thing of doing more with less is something that our customers still talk about today. And having a plan, having a resource plan across the portfolio is really useful and really important to have in place. And we've got some great success stories about that coming up in the near future as well. But project portfolio management is always playing a critical role in navigating this complex environment in the public sector. Building the right PPM system can really make sure that you're getting value for money. You can understand what's happening next, and you can really make sure that the resources across your portfolio of change are being utilized to deliver the most effective things that need to happen in that organization. All right. And that's something that's really, really, really important. So I'm just going to view the results. I've got some really good insights at the moment. Thank you. We've got 13 responses to the first question. Interesting, a high number of you using Excel and SharePoint, which is great to see. So thank you for those responses. Some of the challenges you're facing are resourcing and reporting, and that they're kind of the outliers there across the community, across the audience here. And then what are the main reasons for not implementing a new system, and budget and other. So I'm intrigued on the other, but interested on budget, and that's what I referred to a few seconds ago. Budgets being constrained, limited resources, and challenges in how to do more with less effectively. So Thank you very much for those responses. It's really appreciated. I'm intrigued by the other of why you've not implemented a new PPM system, so maybe we'll dive a bit deeper into that later on in the call if we get time. So the next slide, thank you, marketing, for putting that together. So some of the common pitfalls. Now, bear in mind that we talk to PPM practitioners across the public sector every week. We do a number of discoveries a month, and I've been doing this for 7 years. So this is a view of the challenges, the pitfalls that our customers have faced before they've approached iCoTech services for help and support in this space. All right. And one of the common themes that we get is, how do I keep track of all the activity, not just major projects? It seems to be that major projects have the investment of a standalone PMO team and PPM function, and they have the kind of visibility that's given to them. But actually, minor change, business change, and iterative and continuous improvement all being in one place and having that total top-up visibility is a consistent challenge and a consistent problem for our customers, and how they're going to build that visibility. The next one is how to keep track of the project artifacts all in one location. So we often get customers saying that we've got documents here, there, and everywhere. SharePoint was referenced earlier in the poll, but is it in OneDrive? Is it on my documents? Is it in SharePoint? How do I collaborate on these documents? How do I collaborate on these artifacts in one location? That's often a challenge and a pitfall that we see across the customer base, in the early days. And then this one, how do we decide on what projects to do next? There's a number of organizations that don't have a prioritization framework, a methodology, and in many cases, not all, but in many cases, it's almost the who shouts the loudest, what's on the director's agenda drives what happens next. And really that's a common theme that we get. Because you don't have all these other artifacts like resourcing, budgets, connection to strategy, all those other things that we'll talk about over the next few minutes. Keeping track of all the tasks across the portfolio, not just in projects. So how do we link then, BAU service tasks, risk mitigations, or strategic actions or strategic priorities is really important. So I had a children's services department approach us in a council a few months ago, and they had a continuous improvement portfolio for the children's services directorate that wasn't projects. They were talking about them as projects, but they weren't. They were continuous improvement initiatives, and they were services initiatives, improvements to the operating service that they operated. And they had a system that was on Excel and Word, very mandrolic, very manual, but the corporate change team had a function there that was very mature and had all the project portfolio structure. And so connecting the two together was the challenge. And so that's an example of how a real example of how some of our customers at the early stages are struggling to keep on track of those things. How do we report on all data, not just the data that's stored, in a simple and visual way? And that's really important, and it came out in the poll that we did earlier on. So married and made sense to yourselves, but every customer, I'd say every customer, 99% of the customers that ask iCoTech to help them in this space are still doing status reports in PowerPoint, and it's still taking hours and hours and hours to go and do. And as soon as you create that PowerPoint, it's administrative heavy, it's time consuming. As soon as you PDF it, send it on to the board or the director or the program director, whatever it might be, it is effectively out of date. And that is a common pitfall. Not having real-time data, not having historic data is a challenge in how to run and build your PPM system. All right. And the last one is, how do we keep track of the stages of the projects and how they go through the life cycle? I'm a big believer in good governance, applicable governance and appropriate governance. But if you have no way of tracking how to move projects through stages and no definition of that, then how can you apply governance and good life cycle management to projects? It's a consistent theme. Some organizations, some customers will have, a spreadsheet that they call their dashboard or their portfolio summary, or it's a SharePoint list. And to go through governance, this is a cell which they're saying it's in stage 3 or not stage 2, or a drop down, and it's the process taking that project through the appropriate stages is not, defined in place or established. And I could have talked for the whole hour on some other pitfalls that are here, but I have tried over the last few months to kind of solidify and make this a really condensed list as much as possible. And these are the true reflections from every discovery, every new business appointment we've had in iCoTech services, and the collection of information we've built up over the years. This is what I see as the common pitfalls. So if you're looking at this saying I associate with that, you're not the only one. There's a lot of organizations in the UK in the public sector that are struggling with some of these artifacts, some of these challenges on the screen today that I've just talked through. But the good news is there's a fix, there's solutions in place, and the next slide I'm going to try and show you how we go about doing that. It's quite hard, obviously, in a webinar to kind of tell you how to fix that world because it's complex in itself. But I'm hopefully going to give you some ideas and some thoughts to walk away with so that you could start to build your improvement roadmap to how you build your PPM system. All right. And the first thing to note is one of our policies is an industry policy, a practice for consulting, but it's something that we really love and we've taken onwards and upwards in iCoTech services and how we work with our customers. The PPM system is not a tool. It's not a technology. It is actually the collection of three things. It's about your people, it's about your processes, and then it's about your technology. If you are thinking of your PPM system as a solution, a technology solution, that's the first mistake we see happening. It's got to be about how do we get these three pillars to work collaboratively, cohesively together to build the PPM system that you're trying to build. All right. The people. So let's just dive into that for a second. Are the people appropriately trained? Do you have practitioners? Real, Prince 2, APMP, whatever it might be. Are the people involved in project delivery? Are they appropriately trained? They don't have to go on the full Prince 2 course. They could even just have, a one-day mini self-learning course that you can probably put together now easily on Copilot within a second. You could build a little course on, build me an 8-hour training pack or training course for Prince 2 high level, And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. My point is you can do it yourselves. But do you have the right capability? So we often find organizations are struggling to build their PPM system, but they are potentially using, I call them like pseudo project managers, where they're project managers in the business that have a day job, and they may be kind of finance or operations or whatever it might be, and the team are asking them to go and deliver projects. Now, without the right training, coaching, mentoring, guidance, those people are never going to deliver a project to the way that which practitioners would deliver to that. So really important that if you're going to give those type of people the role of project manager, you appropriately train them and give them the capability to do so. Yeah. And then most importantly, the roles and responsibilities, are they clearly defined? Have you got a structure, a hierarchy on a PowerPoint slide where you could say this is a project manager, this is an SRO, or delivery manager, what's the difference? Because we could have a conversation on that all day long. But are those roles and responsibilities listed? And if those things aren't in place, you really that's P1. That's P1 to get right. And there's a load of other things that we could talk about, and we help our customers to go and deliver in the people space. But obviously, conscious of time of day. So people is first. Next, actually, is the process. And I was wondering how many people were thinking, okay, he's going to talk about tech next, but process is next. It's an anti-clockwise clock. For me, it really is, do you have one defined way of working? Now, that's not to say that every project goes through the same life cycle. You could have different channels of change, I call them. So, a program, a big project, a small project, or an infrastructure project, or an agile project. They can go through different channels of change and different life cycles. But is it defined once, and is it confirmed once, and is it one version of the truth? That's my point here. And again, arguably, if you're delivering a massive portfolio of £100 million worth of investment, that needs to be a big document with lots of detail in it. But if you're delivering 20, 30 projects of £2 million investment, perhaps it doesn't need to be a 30-page document. All right. So having a version of the methodology and the process documented is really important. And that key point there, is it documented? And is everybody trained appropriately on these? Again, if you've got a pseudo project manager, I call them, on the business, do they need to read the whole thing? No, probably not. They could probably have a summarized pack. All right. But that process is really important, and it doesn't have to be war and peace. It doesn't have to be perfect, but having a process is really important. As part of our onboarding process for customers here at iCoTech, one of our questions through that is, could you please provide us with your processes and your methodologies? There are a number of organizations that approach us that say, I can, it's on 2 pages of A4. Likewise, there are a number of other organizations that will give us a very good detailed methodology, and we can assess that and feed that back to them. That is a good position to be in, is to have that methodology defined. Then it's technology. So once you've got your people, the capability, your roles and responsibilities, you've got your process, you've got your methodology, everybody's on the same page, and then you can have your technology. I guess the key point here, though, is it's not linear in that sense. You can do it iteratively if you choose to. You don't have to spend 6 months writing your methodology, for example. I wouldn't want you to take that away from this point. It's build it, test it, iterate, improve it. That's a kind of key point to raise, which I probably haven't put on this slide here. But I don't want you to go away and thinking I've got to get everybody on the same page with people, process, and then I can implement technology. You can iterate on these things, but unless you've got to think about it that in this way. That's my point. But how does the technology align to your processes? So once you've got an idea of your processes, it might be a baseline of an idea of those processes. How does the technology align to that? Does your technology assist you or hinder you at the moment? Does it enable you to make better decisions? Does it give you that visibility you need? Does it give you the ability to prioritize? And does it give you the ability to help support and enforce standardization where possible? And that's really what the technology element of this component looks like. All right. And that's the kind of the main kind of approach I would take if I was trying to build the PPM solution, the PPM system in place, and what we help our customers to go and do. All right. PPM system building is an iterative journey. Looking at these 3 elements is really important. But I like to recommend, and we like to build 90-day plans with our customers. So we'll look at what can we do in the next 90 days to take us forward. And it works really well. Our customers love that approach because it's not too overwhelming, too daunting, too challenging, and too much to go and deliver. We have to recognize that we've all got delivery jobs. We've all got projects to go and deliver. So you can't just lock yourself in a room for 4 weeks and go and build this ecosystem. That's not really feasible in many cases. All right. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you some insight and some ideas of how you could go forward, and hopefully you could take that back into your organizations now and go, right, okay, how do I think about this in the right way? How do I answer some of these questions? And obviously you can go and research some other questions to ask yourself as well, based on this high level principle and approach. All right. So moving on to why PPM systems fail. We've seen a lot of organizations who, both in my corporate life, when I was in industry, but also, many more customers that approach iCoTech services, they have existing systems and they have existing attempts at delivering a project portfolio management system that have failed. So taking all that knowledge and playing that back to you really, in our experience, these are some of the key reasons why PPM solution system implementations fail. All right. The biggest one that I see more often than not is the implementation has come first. The implementation of technology has come first, and it's a key mistake really. I like the look of that thing. I'm going to go and buy it. It's going to solve my world. It's amazing. Actually, then we realized that people are not buying an idea of what it should look like rather than the process, and that's really important to think about and to not make that mistake. I guess the other thing that I see quite a lot is lack of senior ownership and alignment with the strategic objectives. So what are we trying to do? Why are we building a PPM system? Is it for cost visibility, resource visibility? Like just agree with the senior stakeholders, like why is this needed at board level and how does it connect? Because the art of portfolio management, as we all know, is connecting that strategy to the activity of projects. And that's really important. And I get a lot of examples where the PPM system has been implemented, but it didn't quite have strategic ownership and strategic buy-in and senior leadership buy-in, and it kind of just felt like just didn't get that investment required because it is a significant thing to go and implement. I think then the other reason I see these failing is the overestimation in organization maturity. So organizations think that they are mature in their PPM systems and processes, procedures, people. They think that potentially other people in that organization are as mature as them, and then go to roll out a system. It's not being used, it's not being taken up, and they will wonder why. And that's something that we see quite a lot of across the portfolio, really. All right. Change management is really important. We're all change practitioners, but it's interesting how many times I hear stories and see examples of where we don't apply change management processes and procedures and principles to our own rollouts. So sometimes it's just one of those things that people forget to do, but we are taking people through a change management process when we're implementing a PPM system. And that's got to be considered really, really well. I see a lot of examples of where things have been pushed in, technology or solutions have been purchased, and it's just hit them fast, and people resent that, make them feel like they're being micromanaged and watched, and it's just not creating the right culture within that organization, and that's really important to get right. All right, and attempt that large-scale rollout too early. You could probably tell from some of the conversations, some of the points I'm making, that we are an advocate of the agile philosophy. There's principles of starting small, iterative development, iterative improvement. That really works in our experience, in my experience as well, before iCoTech. Big bang, I know we can debate this all day long, but in my opinion, big bang doesn't work for this type of thing. Starting small, not rolling out an enterprise-wide solution to 100 people at the same time with complex environments, complex projects, without having full maturity is really something that that I've seen fail in our experience. All right, and then a bit of a controversial one, I guess. I've seen a lot of organizations that build out the governance process, build out the model, build out the methodology, build out the system, and then for some reason they divert or fail to follow that governance process, probably because of the change management not working, probably because of the value not working. But yeah, important to put that in there. If you're going to put governance in place, you kind of need to make it enforced, make it pragmatic, appropriate, but also used. Mary put a comment in here. So other reason for us is devolved approach to portfolio management directorates within the council. Okay, there are obviously central budget controls, but the PPM functions were decentralized. Interesting. Okay, this is changing following the challenges you described. So we're looking now at turning our attention to having more corporate view. Great, cool. And we're working through the process of agreeing a corporate approach to prioritization. Brilliant, fantastic. And what needs to have a corporate oversight? Yeah, brilliant. So I have some examples, case studies, customers that I can introduce you to, Mary, at the right time, if you wanted to, obviously, around how to have that hybrid approach. So you have a central function that is kind of core, that kind of defines some of those standards, has that top-down visibility, but then maybe in the individual business units then, or the individual departments, they've got their own flavored solution that allows them to feel like it's theirs, them to own it, love it, the platform, the solution, the system. And then, but the kind of top-down visibility is all achieved in one place. So, yeah, great to see that that's kind of happening. That's the strategic direction, and exciting to see that. And I can see how decentralization could cause some challenges in having top-down visibility. Not impossible, but it's definitely a challenge. So, thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. So what does good look like? This is really hard, and I've gone out on a limb here, so forgive me if this is a bit too crude, but we have PPM maturity framework in iCoTech services. Obviously, I wanted to give you a little bit of a snippet of that, but not divulge it all because it's our process that we take our customers through. But I wanted you to walk away with some value from this conversation at the same time. So I've basically, in those 3 pillars of people, process, and technology, I've just put a few statements that are summarized, and I would encourage you to read these statements if you can. And effectively, it's a very simple 3x3 scoring model, just to read yourself and have a gut feel, because it's not that scientific, of course, as to where you fit in this scale. And if you would be so kind as to put your results in the chat, it'd just be interested to see where people are for me to feedback. Hopefully it's of some use to you to see, okay, how do I self-assess where I am in a 30-second read and view. I appreciate we spend a lot of time doing this with our customers, but here's the people. So, I think if you've got that clear accountability across the portfolio programs and the projects at all level, trained sponsorship, kind of consistent behaviors and professional capability across the organization, you could argue that you're high in that very simple, crude model. You've got some sort of defined roles, but adoption varies. Some sort of a coaching in place, you might say you're medium, but then if delivery depends on individuals rather than roles, and there's limited training and governance in place, then you're probably a 1 on people. All right. And the same for processes. Is there a fully defined process in place with a PPM methodology? Is there clear gates and escalation paths and decision rights and continuous improvement in place? You could probably argue at that point you're a level 3 for process. Are the standards, is there a standard life cycle in place maybe? There's a couple of templates, but it's kind of not always enforced and not always used. Then for process, you would be a level 2. All right, and then for if you had no process in place, it's a bit informal, it was undocumented, then you'd be a level 1 for process. And then technology, if you have got an integrated PPM system platform that is a single source of truth, real-time, automated reports, decision making in place, prioritization, insurance, all there, assurance, then you're level 3. If you kind of got a central spreadsheet maybe, it's kind of connected, or maybe a SharePoint list that's quite powerful, you could argue that partial reporting in place, then you could be a level 2 for technology, and then level 1 if you've got a shed load of kind of spreadsheets. Customers met last week had 55 projects in the portfolio, and they had 55 RAID logs in SharePoint. And trying to get the top 10 risks across the portfolio was an administrative nightmare. And 55 standalone plans and 55 standalone business cases. And she was pulling her hair out, bless her. So basic bit of fun, I guess, just to evaluate where you are on that, but also hopefully to give you some guidance as well. Is if you score level 1, on any of those things, then you're probably kind of not ready, I guess, for technology, focusing on people and process first. But if you are level 2 on people and process, and level 1 on technology, then you could argue that maybe some extra technology would be a good thing. And if you're level 3 on all of them, you're doing well. You're doing really well. So would you mind just kind of give us a view in the chat, just to kind of read those, just put in the chat where you feel you are, and just give me a view as to if you, for people, process, technology, are you level 1, 2, or 3? Would you mind just give us a view? That'd be much appreciated. Let's see what comes through. Toes in, sometimes PPM systems fail because they're right stakeholders. Cool. Margaret, level 2. Okay, cool. Is that for people, process, and technology, do you think, Margaret? Is that kind of across the board for level 2? 2, 2, 1. Bev, thank you. 2, 2, 1. Yeah, so your people, process, and technology. Okay, cool. Thank you. I think it's Sophia, because of the name changing on me on Teams. Level 2, some departments are level 1. Okay, cool. So you've got different departments that are some departments at different levels, which is great. Mary, medium for people process, but low for technology. Okay, cool. So you're probably in that right place, Mary, where some introduction of technology might help you. And obviously moving towards level 3 in the people and process side is an objective as well. Robert, level 2 across or mostly. Lovely. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. It's nice to see. I know that's crude, but trying to give you that value add framework in one-way conversation is quite hard, as you can imagine. But if you want more help and support in that PPM methodology assessment, something iCoTech can help you with, of course. All right. So let's fast track a little bit because we're conscious of time, but I can talk for Wales and I get excited on this kind of stuff. So if we dive into technology specifically, those 3 pillars, looking at technology specifically now for a second, there's a number of options for yourselves, and this is just some considerations to think about. But the top one here is to start with your current needs, not necessarily your future needs. Again, some of those PPM solutions that have failed before, they've implemented or purchased a really big technology solution, and it was because they wanted to do earned value analysis, or enterprise resource planning was their objective. However, they had no process and no people in place to go and do that. So the system just got rejected, resented, and people got frustrated. So find the product that's got your requirements now, but can help you grow and could deliver those requirements for the future. Don't implement a solution that's all singing or dancing up front. In our experience, it doesn't work. Match the solution to organization maturity. Again, that maturity assessment is really important, so that if the organization is very mature in some of those areas, you might want to think about a different approach. Whereas not as mature in people or process, then the solution needs to match that organization maturity. Okay. You again, as I'm reading this out loud for the 8th time this week, I'm probably saying the same thing but in a different way. But it's prioritize usability and adoption over features. So the success criteria after the implementation should be: are you using this platform? Are you adopting this platform? That's really the success criteria that you should be focused on. And then alignment to governance as well. So if you have good governance, strong governance in place, that technology has to align to the governance. And technical fit and interoperability is important. So if you're a Microsoft house, I would look at Microsoft. If you're going to do connectivity into risk management or strategic planning in the future, or you're going to go do enterprise, like true enterprise resource planning in the future, then having a kind of third-party SaaS solution needs to connect and integrate with your existing ERP system, for example. So think about that technology landscape and what fits well. If you're on Google, is it G Suite, whatever it's called, and that's your technology choice of collaboration, as I know the Cabinet Office are, although they're moving away from it soon, then maybe a Microsoft solution might not work in the best way. All right. Understand the true cost behind the licensing. So really this for me, the technology solutions to running project portfolio management is all about collaboration. It's around being able to assign a task to anybody in the business, and anybody in the business be able to go and get that task and update that task, not to be siloed. I think we all probably remember the days of Microsoft Project, where the licenses were so expensive that PMO teams would PDF the plan, and they would send the PDF document to a bunch of stakeholders to read. Like, that just doesn't work. You want to be able to collaborate on the plan, not kind of have a big firewall in between you. All right. So I guess the other considerations: flexible, iterative. Again, that word iterative is a passion of ours at iCoTech, and it is something we really believe in. Start small, build, grow, and move forward from there. Make sure that implementation works right for you, for your organization. Here is the point again. And in my opinion, you need to have someone who's got deep sector experience as well. So that's important. All right. Delivering a nuclear decommissioning program is very different to an IT software system. So finding the right product for you for the projects that you're running is my point here. If we have customers in defense who are doing that, decommissioning nuclear power plants, but and other things in that space, and they have a different set of requirements, a different set of needs to children's services, as I referenced earlier. Okay, they are different. So the technology that you utilize to deliver that portfolio of work is different as well. Last one from me then, or actually not last one, nearing the end, and then we'll open the floor to questions. And feel free, as Sam said earlier, to put questions in the chat. If you've got any questions, anything that has come to mind that you want me to address now, from our previous slides or at the end of the session, please just feel free to just put them in the chat. It helps me to to try and tailor the last part of my conversation. And I really welcome the questions if we can, please, because it's nice to have a bit of collaboration on these things. And Neath Port Talbot, so really proud to be working with Neath Port Talbot. And I'll just tell you the story of how they their journey basically. They had 493 projects across the portfolio, being managed in spreadsheets and disconnected systems. Now, those projects were all range of projects, from transformation programs to IT projects to software projects, in agile development projects and product-led, through to minor change. So a big portfolio of change, but all managed in spreadsheets, all managed in disconnected systems. And they had unclear ownership and delivery timelines of capacity planning. They just literally couldn't plan what was needed from IT, from business change, and from all those different resources, all those organizations at any one time. Total blindness in that invisibility approach. Manual reporting was monthly. They went through a whole administrative collection process, and they were effectively difficult to go and manage and to go and build those reports. And then limited ability to monitor, contribute, and to the corporate strategy. So Chris Owen, who was the CDO at the time, was really had this vision of what technology could do for the organization, and they were struggling to be able to connect those change activities and those projects to that strategy. And again, it was just no visibility. So they had no way of seeing top-down change in a single version of the truth. It was just a little bit archaic. So we met with them, we went through a process, and we actually evaluated their processes, and they kind of were in a foundational place, yes, but we did do some work early on to kind of bring them up to a baseline, and work with them collaboratively to build a couple of things, such as prioritization framework was in there, and a little bit on the resource framework was in there as well, just to try and talk about how would they like to manage resources across the enterprise, because that could be a very complex thing. It also could be a very simple thing. So we did a little bit of discovery with them, a little bit of work on that. And then we selected iCoPlan as their product, and we said, look, iCoPlan is the right thing for you now. And we're going to implement it as a central solution. And then we're going to use Power BI to visualize all those reports, build those Power BI status reports and those portfolio insights. And that was the approach that was presented, and they approved, and we went forward from there, which is great. And I'm incredibly proud of the team here at iCoTech Services for this statement. It's really pleasing to see, because that's exactly why iCoTech exists. But iCoPlan has completely transformed the way we manage and report on projects. What used to take months, I genuinely believe it used to take them months as well. Now takes us 2 days, and the quality of information is significantly better, which is fantastic. So really proud to see that when we share that story. And the impact that has is that kind of reduction of reporting is reduced by 93%, full visibility across the portfolio, clear prioritizations are made, and improved resource allocations, which I touched on earlier, based on a very simple framework, a very simple model, just gives them that visibility and great confidence in the data accuracy. And we've actually now gone on to deliver iCoPlan, iCoRisk, and iCoView. So they're now able to have service plans with the projects and the risks against each of the service areas. That total visibility. So if you're now children's services service owner, you now have a view in a system that allows you to see all the projects, all the risks, all the corporate actions, the measures, everything in one place. And the PMO team are now managing their project portfolio in iCoPlan, which all interlinks and connects together. All right. Margaret, you put a question. Yeah, so Sam asked, yes, so absolutely. We developed our own in-house reporting and PMO monitoring and reporting, which is now embedded in. That's great stuff. Well done, Margaret. And so, yeah, great to see that happening. Cool. So what is iCoPlan? Let's just touch on it for a second, and then I'll open the floor to Q&As. So iCoPlan, because we haven't talked about it in too much detail, and we won't today, but just as a one-stop kind of overview of it. So it is a portfolio management solution and project management solution. And it is on the Power Platform. So it's in Microsoft 365. It is an accelerator, so it integrates with Dynamics, with Azure, and all your other Teams applications, etc. But if you've heard of the Power Platform, you're kind of know the look and feel. And for us, we've built iCoPlan to have a number of features within it. So, task management, we're using Planner for that, which is really great for collaboration, tagging, commenting, collaborating with your teams to build your schedules of work. Status reports are automated, as Alan referred to underneath the Portalba overview there. So, they have an input status report with the RAGs, the activities, and then within a second, you can hit refresh on Power BI and out pops the project highlight report, but also out pops the portfolio and program reports further up in that hierarchy as well. It has milestone tracking, a number of kind of features that sit within there that are quite basic. If we're honest, that's kind of how we like to work, is building a basic accelerator. If you're on Excel, if you're on SharePoint, this will make sense. It's just the obvious next step. If you want to know more, reach out to us. We can help show you a bit more detail and anything else that we talked about today in terms of a maturity assessment. There's a barcode on the last page as well. Tosin question, thank you for your question. Training and onboarding of new users is usually the bottleneck. That's interesting. Okay, thank you. How do you manage this to drive adoption and continued usage by all user groups? There's a number of different kind of ways that we have suggested doing that. I think the bottleneck is normally the technology side of things, getting the licenses set up and getting the users assigned. We have a template for an onboarding new user process. It's normally integrated with service desk, so they get a notification saying, this new user needs to be added as a license. But 9 times out of 10 in that process, if I understand, they've already been added. The user's already there in Microsoft 365, otherwise they wouldn't be able to access a corporate machine. So yeah, and then they have a training pack, they have a process guide they go through. That's how, from a non-technical perspective, how I would suggest doing it. We have a couple of templates in place in iCoTech as well, based on that maturity model for onboarding. But yeah, interesting question. Thank you, Tosin. Are there any other questions at all? Because I'm about to move on to Q&A. Sam, who's doing Q&A, you or me? Both do it together.
Yeah, I'm happy to do the Qs and you can do the As. But no, I think we've covered quite a lot as we've gone through. So yeah, as you said, if anyone has got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. If you'd like a bit more of an in-depth discussion, if you'd like to know more about anything as well, there is a QR code up on your screen as well. And yeah, feel free to book some time, book a half-hour slot with us, and we can run through things in a bit more detail, having a bit of a look at your individual challenges and those sorts of things as well. Ian has put in the chat, can this be tailored to sorry, I've had a message pop up in front of it. Can this be tailored to local ways of working, or does it assume vanilla compliance? I have got a short answer to that. Joel, you've probably got a longer answer to that, so let me come to you for the slightly longer version of yes, it can be.
It's like I'm on BBC News at breakfast, where you're asking me questions. Come to Joel. Yes, absolutely. It can be tailored, Ian. That's the whole point of Power Platform. But obviously, in terms of the PPM system, in terms of the process technology, one of the principles is that we tailor those things to be applicable to the local delivery communities. I'm passionate and believe that the way in which we deliver a highway project is different to how we deliver an IT project. They are different things. They have the same principles, same philosophies, and they can have the same governance applied, or standard set of governance applied, but it has to be tailored to that need. And yes, iCoPlan does give us the ability to tailor that governance. So having 6 stages of in the life cycle, for an IT project, and then for an agile software project, it might be the 6 stages are slightly different. But at portfolio visibility, at that top level, we've got consistency and commonality, so that the portfolio change director of the change portfolio can see everything from top to bottom and has consistency to make those decisions. So yeah, absolute needs to be tailored, and the iCoPlan solution helps us do that. Yes.
Yeah, I think, and we'll probably be talking about this in a future webinar, so I don't want to spoil anything too much. But we're working with Torvine and Blaenau Gwent councils again in South Wales. We don't only work in South Wales, I promise. But we are working with them locally, and I think, yeah, if you're in local government, you'll know that they are 2 totally separate organisations, but they have shared leadership, and therefore the leadership are asking for one set of reports that are exactly the same, but actually the way that those two organisations are working on the ground and those different sort of compliances and how they work are actually two very separate things. And we can allow that within iCoPlan, that you can do it your way. This other department or this other organisation, in this case, can be doing it another way, but actually then what gets fed back into the top is the same, and the reports that come out can be standardised in that way as well. So it doesn't matter necessarily how you're working, we can still be delivering similar or the exact same reports, etc. Any other questions from anyone that is here? We've got a few minutes left on our slot, so if anyone has got one, let us know. Joel, do you want to just quickly move on to the next slide, and I can do this bit as well while we're here? So just to let everyone know as well about our next webinar. So on the 20th of May, I think that is 2 weeks today or 2 weeks tomorrow, we have a slide on our risk management software, iCoRisk, and looking at mastering corporate risk in the public sector. I've seen the slides, they are really good. It's gonna be a really, really good chat. So if you are involved in that part of the organisation, or if you want to share that with your colleagues who are involved in the risk side of the organisation, you can scan the QR code. You will get these slides after the event today as well, so we can share that link with you as well. Yeah, please feel free to sign up for that there as well. And yeah, again, it's going to be for the best part of an hour, I think, that one as well. Thank you to everyone that is putting in those bits there in the chat as well. I think we've probably come to oh, have I got another slide?
You have. We've got a thanks for joining us slide.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what I was saying. So that's fine. But no, thank you everyone who has come on today. Thank you for being so involved in the chat as well. It makes it so much better for in particular for Joel doing most of the talking today. But to see that you are engaged with what's going on, and to be getting that feedback live, to be getting your questions, it makes it so much better. So I really hope this has been insightful. We will be sending through, as well as the slides and some other materials afterwards, we will be sending back a feedback survey. If people could fill it in, it really helps us to make sure that we are delivering the stuff that matters to you. But we are going to give you 3.5 minutes back, which I'm sure is welcome at this time of the day. Yeah, thank you everyone so much for joining, and we will see you possibly next time, or possibly on some of our future webinars. Keep an eye out on the website and on the LinkedIn as well, and we'll be announcing more webinars coming forward over the next few weeks. But yeah, thank you everyone, and goodbye.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Cheers now. Bye bye.